Hey everyone. Give a few seconds for people to join. Hope everyone is having a great day. Yeah, today is going to be a good day. Just realized I was just saying welcome, welcome, welcome anyway, but realized I forgot to put my headpiece in, so earbuds in, so no one could hear me anyway. Welcome everyone. We are at day 17. Day 17 of equitable grading in STEM. So now we're more than halfway through the 30 days live. So I don't think I ever explained like why I'm doing 30 days live. There are a couple of things here. One, I have sorry, it's day 16. I'm saying day 17. We're still more than halfway through 30 days live. So basically, over the summer, I wanted to host an intensive that was based off of this planner, Equitable Grading in STEM. And I realized that summer's hard. People are on break, people are on vacation, and one of the last things they want to do is delve into sometimes something deep and heavy. And especially if they're going to do it not for like the entire month. And so what I was doing was I was hosting it. It was going to be in the evenings, one day a week for 4 days in August. It didn't gain a whole lot of traction, and I totally get it and understand why. If there's some of you who were considering it and wanted to talk more about it, please give me the feedback. I'm all here for it. I want to improve. But one thing I also realized was that this is kind of heavy, right? Equitable grading is a topic that we all can do better in. We are part of these systems of education, which force us to do grading and do grading in a particular way with certain guidelines, but there's still room for us to make tiny steps to be even a bit more equitable in how we approach it and approach our grading so that we better serve our students. We are not necessarily going to be able to go from 0 to 60 and do every single thing, but remember that thinking about it, being more intentional about the decisions that you make, right? Rather than my grading system always includes these 5 categories, they're always worth this percentage. Why? Why? Really delve into that. There's small changes that we can make that can serve our students better. All right. I want to dive right in. So today, maybe just slightly longer. I said that these posts will be no more than 15 minutes. And they've been coming in somewhere around 7 or 8. I think today we might actually be at 10. And if we had a lot of people joining, we probably would be somewhere around 15, definitely. Because today we're going to talk about zeros and the grading floor. Now, I have so many colleagues that are in education, and I know that this has been a challenge, right? So let's talk about it. Let's talk about zeros. Zeros are powerful, but not always in the way that we hope, right? I used to think that giving the zero would motivate. The reality is, a lot of the research shows that zeros don't motivate. And in fact, what they do is they shut doors. A single zero can sink a grade well beyond repair. And what that does then is that tells students It doesn't matter if you try again. And I've had students actually say that, right? I've already received a 0, so why bother? Why bother doing the work? Why bother continuing? A grading floor, now on the other hand, keeps the door open to recovery. Okay? We're going to talk about it because I know that there are several things and pushback that I've even had myself around it, but let's get into it. So, the quote, I always like to start with a quote. The quote for today is another quote from Paulo Freire. And he says, compassion is the cornerstone of effective education. Sit with that for a minute. Compassion is the cornerstone of effective education. How do we educate with compassion, right? How are we defining compassion? Because compassion goes a little bit more than just having an understanding, right? Compassion is starting to embrace that empathy, that deeper understanding, and it's to the point of action. So, what is it that we can do as educators, right? To show compassion? One way is through our understanding of our grading, right? And the circumstances around our students and how they may show up, and giving them the chance and to say, if you're willing to do the work, willing to put in the work of trying, then I'm going to be here to give you the chances. So here's the reflection prompt that I want you to think about today. I want you to think about, how do zeros or low grades actually reflect students' effort, or are they reflective of student circumstance? How do you know which standards each student has mastered? Let's think about some of the pushback now. Okay, so you're going to reflect on how the role of zeros or very low grades, and whether that's reflecting student effort, or is it reflecting circumstance, or is it potentially even erasing student effort, right? But here's some of the pushback that I've heard. And as I said, some of these pushback statements, reason why it was so easy to talk about them and to create these examples, because I've said them myself, right? Zeros, here's one, pushback one. Zeros show accountability. If students don't do the work, they shouldn't get credit, right? That seems legitimate. Here's the thing though, accountability is about learning, not punishment. I say that again. I don't know if many of you are parents, pet owners, but to hold accountability, accountability is about the learning. How do you teach them? Not about the punishment. It's that lesson, right? And unfortunately, again, there's a lot of research that supports how zeros close the door to growth. So when we want to teach the lesson, let's think about it not being all grounded in, here's the punishment that gets executed. And if you don't want this punishment, then just do the thing, because it's still not teaching, right? The skill. And sometimes there's actually an actual skill gap, especially when it comes to executive functioning. This is something that I've seen both within my own students at different times. And then it is something I've seen time and time again, right? What are we punishing here? And how does that lead to learning and understanding? So if we move towards doing this grading floor, right? Thinking about this instead as a potential option, a grading floor still signals incomplete work, right? But it leaves the path open for students to actually finish and potentially recover from that low grade. Zero is super hard mathematically to recover from, no matter where it is placed, right? Okay, here's another pushback statement that I've heard. This is just grade inflation. Students are getting points for nothing. Hmm. A grading floor doesn't inflate grades. It prevents extreme deflation. Students still earn the low marks if they don't complete the work, but they're not mathematically locked out of success because they've now had a chance to show mastery. See where I'm going with this? Let me do one more pushback. So, in pushback number 3, I've heard it's not fair to students who did the work if others get 50% for nothing. Listen, fair doesn't mean equal punishment either. It means equal opportunity. Students who complete work are still ahead. A grading floor simply ensures that struggling students don't give up before they've had a chance to succeed. All right, I'm going to pause there. There are several more things that I've heard, several more things that I've said in terms of pushback, but I'll save it because I still have dreams of having this intensive where we sit, go through some of the grading practices, and actually make changes in live time with the support of a community so that we can move forward, implement more equitable practices, grading practices into our systems. So here's what I want you to do. Explore a grading floor, such as not allowing grades below 50%. And you can just try it out with one assignment and compare the difference it makes in student recovery. So I'm not talking about now like mathematically. I want you to examine what happens in terms of how students respond, what they may do differently in their actions, right? It to recover that knowledge. And also recognize that even though you give them that 50%, give them the opportunity to learn the skill, to demonstrate mastery. Okay. Um, I just saw so many times that when I gave zeros, many students stopped trying. And by setting a minimum of 50%, which we wound up doing as a school anyway, um, I can still signal incomplete work without completely destroying their chance to recover later through some sort of mastering and demonstrate mastery, which is what we care about. Remember, we identified those standards. Giving them the zero doesn't let you know what they know. You just know that they didn't do it. And that's not an accurate depiction of learning, nor is that now making their grades a reflection of true knowledge and understanding. A compassionate grading floor says to students, "You're not finished yet." It honors the reality that students learn at different paces, that they may deserve different or multiple chances to demonstrate what they know. Every grade, every single grade tells a story. So let's make it one that's worth telling. All right, I'm at 14 minutes, 38, 39, 40 seconds. All right, have a great rest of your evening. And if you like this content, I hope you not only like it, but that you subscribe so that you can hear more. All right. Enjoy the evening.